Rebel Force Radio apparel and accessories are now available on our website. Say it loud and say it proud with RFR t-shirts, hats, mugs, phone cases, water bottles, coffee mugs, pajamas, baby wear, stickers, buttons, even tie-dye. Sizes for men and women. Choose from cool colors and styles. Visit rebelforceradio.com and click on shop to get your RFR gear today.
May the Force be with you, bro.
Penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Chut, everyone. Welcome to back to Rebel Force Radio, this week's show for July 22nd, 2021. So grateful to be with you this week and grateful that you're spending some time with us as well. Great show coming up this week. But first, I have to say, we can call this, I guess, informally mail call. Went out to the front porch earlier this afternoon. There was a box there with my name on it. I opened up, and what did I find? This guy. I finally have a Jackson action figure, the Jackson Bunny Rabbit action figure from the Black Series, finally here, and I have no idea. I don't really know who this character is. I know one guy that knows exactly who he is. We've been talking about him for years, and I've used it as an example of just how awful those original Marvel Comics books were. Talking about my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Now, I take exception to anyone criticizing the Marvel Comics, especially some Yahoo who never even read them before.
Oh, I've read a few of them.
Well, you know, I mean, listen, those things were kind of a sign of the times, really. You know, I mean, comic books were just being presented in sort of a wacky way.
You can't compare them to the modern stuff. You just can't.
Jackson was created by Howard Chaykin.
Was he really? I did not know that. Okay.
And he's a rabbit. Yeah. And, Howard did, I think, the first 9 or 10 issues of the art for Star Wars.
So what was why did they need this character? What was this? Because when I honestly, the only thing I can compare it to is I remember as a kid watching, I was a Star Trek fan, and I remember Nickelodeon would run the old Star Trek animated series, and instead of Chekhov in the, on the bridge, there was this weird alien guy. And I was like, what's with this weird alien guy? He should just be Chekhov. And then when I heard about Jackson, I was like, oh, that's kind of like the equivalent. Like, why did they need this when you have a so many rich characters as you had in the Star Wars universe, even after the original film? What on earth possessed them to create this weird rabbit character?
Well, as Star Wars does from time to time, it pays tribute to the films of Akira Kurosawa, and George Lucas, of course, famously modeled certain parts of Star Wars after The Hidden Fortress, Kurosawa film, and he and of course the Seven Samurai is something that's been popping up in Star Wars time and time again, whether it be in the Clone Wars or the Mandalorian, etc. You see tributes to that. And that's what was happening in the Marvel book. This was a take on the Seven Samurai, where a group of 7 formed together to help a village stave off attacks from marauders or what have you. And the 7 were led by Han and Chewie. So you had to flesh out the rest of the crew. And they did that with several characters. One named Don Juan Quixote, who had a lightsaber. Thought he was a Jedi Knight, but he was really just kind of a nut job. There was...
that describes a lot of people I know.
There was Ameza, who was one of Han's old girlfriends. And that's a recurring thing that pops up in Star Wars comic books all the time. Han's old girlfriends.
They're always showing up, huh?
As a matter of fact, in the upcoming War of the Bounty Hunters line that's going on right now, story that's being told in Marvel Comics, current day Marvel Comics, there's going to be a meeting between Leia and Kira, two of Han's flames coming together. So, I mean, just Han's girlfriends. It's sort of a recurring theme.
Now, I got to ask, did they get the name Kira for the Solo film from one of those girlfriends from the original Marvel comics? No.
So, I remember Han had a girl named Sala Zen. She was from the Dark Empire series. There was another girl he had in the young Han Solo trilogy that was by A.C. Crispin, I think her name is. And he had a girl in that one, and the girl went on to become part of the rebellion. I forget her name. But yeah, Ameza is in this early comic with Don Juan Quixote and a kid named Jim. So I
can see why you liked it.
Yeah. He was the Star Killer kid, and he was sort of a younger version of Luke. So you have these
Luke without Luke
archetypes that are getting repeated, and he had a droid named Effie, Effie-90, and they just called him Effie. And then there was another, there was a porcupine kind of character named Hedgie, and so he would shoot his quills. So you had these guys all coming together to form this group, and Jackson was among them.
Jackson was one of them.
He debuted. Yes. And Jackson, he debuted in that comic arc and became legendary because, as I said, even though all comics were very campy back in the day.
That's the word.
Jackson,
exactly.
Jackson was almost considered too campy for comics, even for Star Wars or any comic. Any comic. So he kind of came and went pretty fast. He was in, I think, 4 issues. This was the first story arc being told after the destruction of the Death Star. So
4 issues. That was like the totality of the Jackson character in the original run?
Yes. 4 issues. 5 if you want to count one where there's a little flashback with him. He's just there,
Is Jackson sort of the Star Wars comic equivalent of the blue milk? Like this is something that was just a little throwaway thing, and then all of a sudden, here we are. We've got him as a Black Series action figure because it caught on, or it became a sort of a symbol of your Star Wars cred if you know who Jackson the Bunny is.
Well, they've brought him back in the IDW comics. He's made appearances in that. And he did make an appearance in one comic. They did Marvel Star Wars 108, which came out a couple years ago. The original Star Wars comic line shut down in 1985 with issue 107. So issue 108 was considered a continuation of that particular book, and Jackson appears in that. But he has been showing up in the IDW books. He showed up, his skeleton was seen in that episode of Clone Wars.
That's right.
With Colonel Gascon and the Sunny Day in the Void. And you see Jackson's skeleton, and it's a skeleton because I believe there's the buck teeth and the
ears,
the suit,
and the suit,
the
flight suit. They're all cartilage, so they might not have had any.
I don't think
he's wearing the flight suit. I am the one thing. The action figure is actually great. So this is part of the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm. I think these were fan channel exclusives. I got that, as well as the Darth Maul from the Sith Apprentice comic book, which is basically just a shirtless Maul.
Yeah, right. And they've released 3 3/4-inch versions of that forever. But they've never released a 3 3/4-inch version of Jackson. And I think maybe, I think a lot of older fans are more attracted to the 3 3/4-inch line. Yep. So it just confuses me why they would release it as a Black Series figure as opposed to the classic 3 3/4-inch, because the older fans are having the nostalgia for that character. And then the other thing that bothers me. See, I'm trying to get away from that. I don't want to complain about Star Wars anymore, but I still want to maintain a little bit of a critical edge. So I won't say bothers me, because you sure seem to like that action figure, and I don't want to take anything away from it. But I personally would have preferred, see, that's a better way to put it.
Oh, there you go.
I personally would have preferred to see the action figure resemble more his comic book appearance than what appears to be an updated, maybe more realistic version. I would have liked to see, the more cartoony comic book panel version that I saw back in 1977.
And I'll tell you too, since we're picking nits here a little bit, as much as I kid you about the that original Marvel line, because I know how fond you are of it, but I wish that the packaging actually would have had some of those, Jackson as he looked in that original vintage line, instead of this is sort of the more cartoony IDW look of the character, as opposed to that original Chaykin image. But anyway, all right, I digress. But I do like to share, when we do get additions to our collections when they show up in the mail. It's kind of exciting, and you're the only one, honestly, in my life that cares. So here you go. There's my my Darth Maul and my Jackson. And my Jackson.
Lots of people care. Lots of people care. But they all, they're all here with us right now, listening or watching to the show.
No, we have a great show coming up later in the Cantina. We've got Michael Havens, and Michael is the founder of the Imperial Commissary. You can find that over on Facebook, and he's also the creator of a really amazing convention that happens in Middle Tennessee, in the Nashville area, the ICC Con. And so Michael's going to be here to sort of break that all down for us and sort of give you an idea where he came from and really what his mission is as a guy who created this convention. And I think for those of you that have been listening to RFR over the years, I think you're going to really be interested in hearing Michael's story and what motivates him as a convention promoter and founder and all of that. So that's all coming up later. Plus, we've got some audio highlights. Mark Hamill was with Jimmy Kimmel talking about his Mandalorian cameo. And one of the actors from the set of the Obi-Wan series, Sung Kang. We've got audio highlights from him, plus Star Wars and pop culture and a lot more coming up. But first, got this great voicemail from a listener. And if you're not watching The Bad Batch, I don't know why you're not. Watch The Bad Batch, and especially watch the Rebel Force Radio Bad Batch after shows. We do these live on YouTube on the weekends, sometimes Fridays, sometimes Saturdays. Follow us on our social media channels, especially over at YouTube, and we'll let you know when exactly we're going live. But it's great because we talk about the episode within a day or two of seeing it. We take your live phone calls. It's a really fun conversation. And so some of the voicemails that we get are, a lot of them actually, are about the commentary that we've been putting forth on those shows. So here's a voicemail. I love this one. This is a theory, Jim, about how season 1 might end. Possible ending of season 1 for Bad Batch.
All right, great. Well, we're getting down to it, so let's hear.
Hey guys, just wanted to call in and give you a theory that I have maybe about the way that things will wrap up with the Bad Batch this season. So, what would we like to see in this time period? Well, the showdown between Boba and Cad Bang. So here goes. Season finale. They wet our whistle earlier with Cad against Hunter, so I think it's just the appetizer to this. Cad Bang gets the drop on the Bad Batch and Ord Mantell, captures Omega, and takes her back to Camino. The Bad Batch races to the rescue and joins forces with Fennec, who just happens to already be in contact with Boba. We'll save that as a story for another time. Boba is aware of his relation to Omega, and he feels compelled to save her. So on Kamino, the Bad Batch are caught in the crossfire of Tarkin with his new stormtroopers against Crosshair and the clones. So stuff happens, pew, 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 boom, blast, blast, and kabloom. In the spirit of Luke's rescue of Grogu, the Slave One races in to save the day. Now Boba's going to confront Cad Bane, the shootout ensues, both get knocked out, and the Batch get away with Fennec, Omega, and Boba's injured body, and they escape to freedom, probably in the Slave One, with Crosshair as prisoner until they can get the chip out of him. So curtain falls, we got to wait another year to see what happens next, and in light of these events, I believe we'll also see an Omega appearance in maybe the book of Boba Fett. So thanks a lot, guys. Chut, chut, you're the best. I also sent you this text in an email form, so I hope it come in handy.
All right. Well, you were bound to get through one way or the other. No, thanks for the voicemail. Appreciate it. So, Jim, what he's kind of tying up a couple of things here. One, I guess the connection between Boba Fett and Omega sort of getting exposed, and that finally coming to a head. And then also, I like that he throws in a little bit of the Crosshair business where. There's some explosion or there's something, and they save, essentially grab Crosshair and sort of, I guess, kidnap him for his surgery. So what do you think? Do you think that of the two things that he's throwing out there, a showdown between Cad Bane and Boba Fett over Omega, with Fennec Shan sort of being the thing that sort of connects it all with the Bad Batch, that or sort of the laying the groundwork for them taking Crosshair away from the Empire so that they can do what they need to with that inhibitor chip? Which of the two do you think seems the most plausible to you?
Number two.
The Crosshair stuff.
Yeah. And I'll tell you why it seems the most plausible is because we've seen Crosshair and the Bad Batch, and we know that they're players in the show. We don't even know if Boba Fett's going to be introduced in the show in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I'm starting to lean toward him not showing up in this show. I really don't think he is going to show up in this show. And I think a lot of our speculation has been a little misguided at this point. I think that seed would have already been planted earlier in the season. What I fear the most that's happening with Bad Batch is it's just a collection of character cameos that really don't come together in any way. That's what I'm hoping for the most by the end of this season, is that we'll get a finale that brings back a lot of these characters that have popped up throughout season one. I'm not saying they all need to be brought back, but sure, a guy like Cad Bane, of course I'd like to see him. Would I like to see him have a showdown with Boba Fett? Absolutely. It's already been sort of laid out there to us that a showdown between the two is only natural because they showed those animatics in Star Wars Celebration. And a lot of people have said to me, well, during that panel, Dave Filoni said that he considers all of that stuff to be canon. Well, yes, I know he does, but it still hasn't been, the story hasn't been told yet. So it needs to actually find its way into canon, which it hasn't done yet. Right. So you can't really consider anything to be canon unless it actually gets presented in some sort of story or show or something.
Right.
A panel presentation doesn't do it. It really doesn't. So it needs to be made real. And that's what's going on with the Boba Fett thing. I just simply don't think we'll see it. I hope I'm wrong, because a lot of my speculation has led me to Boba Fett as well. And I think that could really make the show super interesting if he played a role in Omega's fate, whatever that might be. I don't think her fate is showing up in the Book of Boba Fett TV show. I think that's a long shot. I think that's a super duper long shot. I just don't think it's the right venue. And again, we haven't seen Boba Fett interact with Omega or the Bad Batch at all yet.
The idea that they would introduce Omega, in a series that's debuting just prior to the Book of Boba Fett debuting, it does inspire a lot of people to think that that's all by design, that it's all, part of this grand master plan, which would be amazing. It'd be an incredible feat if they were able to create that level of synergy. I just don't think it's realistic. I think that that the idea of Omega and the Book of Boba Fett were created in complete isolation from each other. I don't see it. I don't
know about
happening.
that because Dave Filoni is a constant between the two series. So I wouldn't put faith in that. It was being made in isolation. I mean, at least Filoni knows what's going on. But I also think Dave Filoni he rides shotgun to Jon Favreau when it comes to these series. And I think Favreau comes into it with a plan.
How much?
He doesn't say...
Wait a minute. I want to back up, though, real quick, what you said. How much Filoni do you think there really is in Bad Batch?
I think enough for him to keep his finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he's necessarily there at all their meetings. I know he's not. It's impossible.
Right.
He's working on other things, but I think he does get briefed on what's happening.
You think he had say in the creation of a character like Omega?
Yes. And I think that the scripts go across his desk no matter where he is or what he's doing. So, you know, I don't want to see Dave Filoni spread himself thin, but he does take a bit of ownership over the Star Wars animated universe right now as he expands into a live-action director. He still has his finger on what's going on there at the live-action. Plus, it's all of his people he handpicked to work on The Bad Batch.
Yeah.
These are people he brought into Lucas Animation. So... yeah, I'd say there's a bit of synergy there.
Okay. But as far as a Book of Boba Fett, and you said he was, kind of riding shotgun to Jon Favreau, you think it'd be a tall order for him to say, hey, John, I created this character for Bad Batch, and it'd be really cool if, he showed up in this show, and you just don't think that's possible.
No. And also because... I almost called her Ahsoka. Someone told me when I was being critical of Omega before the season even began, they said, just you watch. She'll become as beloved as Ahsoka did, who also had a very rocky reception when introduced to fans. And here I am confusing their names. So maybe Omega is on the way to becoming a fan favorite that will endure over the years. But certainly she needs to be put to the test, and certainly she needs to grow up a little bit. I just personally don't think it's going to be happening in Book of Boba Fett, and I think her story is still being told. If there's going to be multiple seasons of The Bad Batch, there's some groundwork to be laid down.
Yeah, if that's a really great point, because if we see that there's Omega in the Book of Boba Fett, then a lot of the suspense is taken away from the Mandalorian, Mandalorian, the Bad Batch, because she has to survive this. She can't be kidnapped. She can't be because I think at least I've been thinking that now this is a character that and we've made some of the comparisons with Baby Yoda and Omega in terms of their usefulness for the cloning experiments and all of that, it could be decided by who's the prime minister. I get Lama Say or I get them confused.
Lamassu.
Nala Say, Lamassu. Yeah, the prime minister. He might decide that, she's just far too risky to even have around. So we're not interested in actually bringing her back. We need her taken out. So there would be a ton of suspense there. Yeah, Lamassu.
The Dalai Lama.
Yeah. But still a very cool theory. I appreciate it. Wouldn't it be great, if it all was worked out according to plan, quite like that.
I love the speculation. I love the idea of Boba Fett making an appearance. I love the idea of clones versus stormtroopers. Clone troopers versus stormtroopers. I love the idea of all the intrigue going on with the Kaminoans to be expanded upon. I'd love to see that. And I want to see these character cameos actually matter for something at the end of the day. I mean, I really just started to... the cameos began to start ringing hollow with me when we got to what's that planet? Ryloth.
Yeah, with the Syndulas and all of it.
Yeah, with the most recent thing. It's like, well, wait a second now.
And the Hera and the Chopper.
It appears like we're really going off the beaten path now, and it's turning into a prequel for Rebels. When I want the Bad Batch's story to be told. And while I didn't have initial hang-ups with Hera and Chopper being introduced, because a lot of people did, they said, well, where was the Bad Batch in this whole episode? I said, well, it's okay. It's still Star Wars. It's still Star Wars. But back-to-back weeks of Hera and Chopper and all that, it just, to me, at the end of that two-story arc, it felt like an unnecessary diversion and something that most shows would be doing in like a season 3 or 4 when they start running out of ideas.
Yeah,
and that just worries me about the Bad Batch. It feels like the whole series is being fueled by character cameos, and if they don't have anything to do with the big picture story that the Bad Batch is trying to tell, then it's really just the word filler does come to mind. And I'm very hesitant to use that word, as I always have been as a Star Wars fan, because I find value in any expansion of the saga. I find value in any world building that goes on. I just want everything to come together for a satisfying finale for this season. And because it started off so strong, and it just feels like it's kind of been meandering since Wrecker got the chip fixed and all of that, and then the baby Rancor and stuff. I was forgiving. That was a mulligan I gave them. But then when it came time to Rebellion on Ryloth, it's like, okay, well, this is the 3rd animated series now. We're discussing Rebellion on Ryloth. I want to see Imperial oppression. I want to see people fighting back against that throughout the galaxy on a whole. I don't want to go back to Ryloth. So that's where I stand. I got accused of gatekeeping, of course, by making my opinions known on the most recent show. I did 10 episodes heaping nothing but praise on the Bad Batch. But I just say,
there you go.
I would prefer that maybe it didn't delve into Rebels mythology too much, and I got accused of completely disregarding Filoni's contributions to the Star Wars saga on a whole. I got, told I don't understand Star Wars because I don't understand Rebels. I never said I don't understand it. Maybe I don't have lightning fast recall of everything that happened in Rebels like I do with a lot of elements in Star Wars. And I don't shame anyone for liking Rebels. It's just Rebels, at the end of the day, as a 4-season series, failed to resonate with me. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And I know a lot of listeners are like, well, I'm going to sit Jimmy Mack down and I'm going to force him. I'm going to show him what makes Rebels great. And people have tried doing that on the RFR Q&A on Patreon. But you can't make someone like something if it doesn't. I mean, just because it's Star Wars, it's not like I dislike it. Okay, but it just doesn't, I'm more of the big picture that George Lucas was telling, an expansion of that.
Yeah.
And while Rebels does qualify as that, it sort of has become its own thing. There are so many Rebels diehards. I mean, I respect that. But it was the first Star Wars produced by the Disney company without George Lucas. It was the first Star Wars we ever got from Disney. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think that shows. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think that shows.
Yeah.
But
still has some great episodes, some amazing arcs, very cool characters.
Really, that second season with Vader and Ahsoka and all of that really felt like a truly worthy follow-up to the Clone Wars. And I thought the way Ahsoka was portrayed in that show was pretty damn cool. The Inquisitors, I thought, were great.
Love the Inquisitors. Got dropped like a bad habit there.
Did it? Well, did it? Well, maybe it did.
And there were a lot of rumors going into the sequel trilogy that the Inquisitors were going to play a big part in those films, and that didn't happen.
I don't think so. However, they may play a big part in an upcoming Disney streaming series about a guy we fondly know as Old Ben. So, Ben might be running across an Inquisitor or two.
Maybe.
We might hear from one coming up in news. We might actually hear from one.
Right, well, let's head to it anyway. We got news coming up right now.
good news for you, my lord.
That's good news. Come closer, I have good news.
All right, before we turn our sights to the Obi-Wan Kenobi story, as Jimmy was alluding to just a moment ago, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, was on the Jimmy Kimmel Tonight Show. By the way, I was doing a little bit of research, and Mark Hamill's appearances on the Tonight Show go all the way back to Johnny Carson back in the late 70s. And I saw some old highlights. So if you're bored, go on YouTube and search for Mark Hamill Tonight Show. And there's some funny clips of him doing voices and all kinds of stuff, old-timey stuff. But no, this is recent. So, Jim, you caught this. Mark Hamill showing up on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I think he was there via video. They're still doing that with these chat shows. So I would imagine, at least as far as I know, what he's plugging these days is his voice work in the new Masters of the Universe animated series, because he is playing Skeletor.
Yes. Yeah. Plenty. That's exactly why Mark was on the show, to pump up the Masters of the Universe, the big He-Man reboot that's being headed by Kevin Smith. And Mark Hamill talks about that, but he also did talk about his cameo on The Mandalorian. And Jimmy Fallon just thought it was the most incredible thing he'd seen on TV recently. And so Mark responded to that.
Talk about unexpected. I had finished playing that part. I never expected to do it again. I thought if they ever tell stories of Luke in that period, post the originals and pre-sequels, they'd get an actor, an age-appropriate actor. So when Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni told me about what they wanted to do, I was just stunned. But one of the main things with Mandalorian is you are sworn to secrecy. I can't even talk about it with my family, even now.
Even though after it's over, yeah. But they're releasing...
But one thing that I have to tell you, though, even though I can't talk about it, there's a special coming on Disney Plus on August 25th, which is a making of the season finale of season 2, which is the episode I was in. So that'll answer a lot of your questions.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Disney, what's the name of that show? Galaxy, or not Galaxy?
Gallery.
I can never remember the name of that show. Gallery, a special episode dedicated to the season 2 finale, which ought to be very, very cool. So Mark Hamill, thrilled, obviously, to be part of that series and to be able to play the character-ish, I guess, one more time.
As far as I know, those were his first comments made since he was seen in The Mandalorian. I don't recall hearing Mark talk about that.
I don't think. No, I don't think he's really had an opportunity to. At that time, he would have been embargoed, back when it actually happened, and then now he actually has something to plug. So with the Masters of the Universe. Okay, as we talked about just a moment ago, we've got one of the actors from the Kenobi series, Sung Kang, and Jim. Now this is an actor who's been in several of the what do they call them? The Furious movies, the Fast and Furious movies, the FF movies, the Furious.
Don't forget the fast part.
Yeah,
it's
right.
more than just furious. It's fast, and it's ferociously fast. The F9 is the one that's out now, and Sung is in those films. I have to admit, I've never seen a Fast or Furious film. Neither of them. I've missed both the Fast and Furious. I don't know why. Have you ever watched?
I've never seen one. No, I'm not a car guy, and I think that they're really
love cars. I mean, I am a car guy. I like racing. I just never.
I'm surprised George Lucas hasn't directed a Fast and Furious movie. It's got everything that George wanted. Faster, more intense. It's got race cars.
It's got a guy named Sung. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's do 9 of them.
It's a saga.
I usually say let's do 12, but that one bit me in the ass years ago. Let's do 9 of them. I'll do 6 and then I'll sell it to Disney. All right.
Oh, God. Wait a minute. Does Disney have that franchise? Is that Is that his channel? I don't know. Is it 20th Century Fox?
No.
They got everything. No,
I don't think so.
I think I hit the end of the universe when I read a headline about Disney making the next Predator film. I'm like, Disney's making a Predator movie now? Yeah, because of 20th Century Fox. So,
I see. Well, I don't know about that, but Disney is making the Obi-Wan Kenobi streaming series, and Sung Kang is an actor playing a character, an unknown character. We have no idea who Sung is going to play, but it has been rumored he could be showing up as an Inquisitor. That's a rumor. I don't know who he's playing in it, but I mean, he did talk to Rotten Tomatoes as he's out promoting F9, and he did discuss that life on the Obi-Wan Kenobi set has been pretty incredible and special, and there's just a vibe about it. And he discusses that. Now, listen very closely, because he does say he is seeing things, okay? And he drops a name. He talks about, he mentioned something else. So let's just listen closely to Sung Kang, actor Sung Kang, as he describes the Kenobi set vibes.
Okay.
The feeling that I get on set is every single crew member, you look in their eyes, and it's like a kid going, I grew up watching Star Wars. Like, this is my dream to be here. Like, to see one of the, Star Wars character, Darth Vader character, one of the Jedis walk around. It's like, no matter how old they are, it's like guys that do my makeup and stuff, and people who do the costumes, to all the set designers. There's this feeling of legacy, and it's like everyone talks about history and why they feel so blessed to be here, right? And so there's this history, there's this kind of shared spirit and this passion of why we wanted to come into Hollywood. And the connective tissue is all these Star Wars characters. Like, I used to dress up, in these Halloween costumes. Like, I had a Darth Vader one and a Luke Skywalker one. It was all put together with like duct tape after a while. And the fact that I'm, actually on set and they're putting like a Star Wars costume on me, come on, Tara, it's like pinch yourself, right?
Did he say what I just think he said?
What did you hear?
What I heard was, these people on set, and they grew up with this stuff, and they're just blown away. I mean, there's Darth Vader, and there's stormtroopers. This is the kind of stories that we heard from the Revenge of the Sith set when they finally got Hayden in that suit. It was a big deal.
Yeah. Now, what the one that really jumped out to me, because we know Darth Vader is going to be in the show. When they announced the show a couple years ago at D23, they clearly said that Hayden was going to be back and Darth Vader was going to be back, and there was going to be a showdown between Kenobi and Vader.
A rematch. So we know. I think didn't they call it a rematch or something like that?
Well, yeah, it would have to be.
Right.
Yeah. The number 2. Yeah, we're going to start numbering them like we number fights, like boxing, Ali Frazier 1, Ali Frazier 2, Tyson Holyfield 2. Yeah, things like that. So, we're going to have 3. We're going to have 3 showdowns if you count A New Hope, and I think that's going to add a lot of resonance to that final showdown that Kenobi and Vader has in A New Hope. I mean, this is a case where we're going to see a prequel really pay off in the original trilogy if you're going to have old Ben and Vader facing off. But that's not even what Sung Kang talked about that really perked my ears up. What really made me sit up and take notice is when he said, when you see Darth Vader walking around or you see one of the Jedis walking around, he said, one of the Jedis is exactly what he said. Now, of course, we know the plural of Jedi is Jedi. But Jedis is specifically plural. Okay? Specifically plural. When you say, I see one of the Jedis walking around, you're seeing more than one Jedi walk around.
Right.
There are several Jedi.
Right.
So how many Jedi are out there during the Kenobi prequel timeline? Is it, it's supposed to take place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Having Hayden Christensen as part of the cast leads you to believe there's probably flashbacks. So if there are flashbacks, it would be to the Clone Wars. So naturally, you would see several Jedi general walking around. So is that what we're going to see? Flashbacks to the Clone Wars? Or are we going to see some Order 66 stuff with things happening at the current point of the timeline for the Kenobi series? Are we going to see Jedi being hunted down by Vader? That's something I've always kind of wanted to see. The brutal Darth Vader from the end of Rogue One taking it out on a Jedi. And a Jedi ain't going to fall as quick as one of those rebel fleet soldiers, or with the white helmets. Those guys drop like flies when Vader comes in. But a Jedi will give Vader a duel. And I've always wanted to see Vader have a duel with a Jedi who really had it going on. Of course, Luke Skywalker gave Vader a run for his money in Return of the Jedi, but I'd like to see a brutal moment between Darth Vader and a Jedi, and we know who will win.
Well,
we know
sure.
who will win.
Yeah.
And I mean a random Jedi. I don't mean Ben Kenobi either. I can't wait to see their rematch, their showdown, but just Vader really ripping a Jedi with the brown robes, just ripping him to shreds. That would be exciting for me. I think a lot of people want to see that.
It would be very exciting. Yes, it would be very exciting. Well, this is a great find, this audio from Sung Kang, because you could, of course, if you wanted to put some PR spin on it, be like, well, he was talking in generalities. He was picking iconic Star Wars characters out of the air. So when you see one of the Jedis or you see a Darth Vader, it gets these people very excited. I think there's more to it. I don't think he was just talking in iconography. Right. I think he was talking very specific about what's going on the set there.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's a super fan, just like we are, apparently. He said he had a Vader and a Luke costume when he was a kid.
Halloween costume.
Yeah. I wonder if he's talking about those Cooper's costumes that were in the box and he got the mask.
I think he's a lot younger than that. I think he's too young for those. Damn. They're just old. Yeah.
When did they stop making those?
That's a really good question. I just remember walking into the department store, and there was just a whole wall of those, and they were all stacked, so you'd have to read on the box. Here's the Popeye one. I love Popeye, so you get the Popeye one. I'm trying to remember if I had any Star Wars at the time. I know that my brother had a
Vader.
C-3PO. C-3PO.
I believe Billy Mack had Chewbacca, and I had Vader. There is photographic evidence of this stuff.
I had a Popeye.
Yeah. We're in the 70s, for crying out loud.
Right.
I shouldn't ask the question, when did they stop making those? I should ask the question, when did kids wisen up and realize those costumes sucked? That's what I think.
It was weird. They just disappeared. They just disappeared all of a sudden.
They just gone.
Yeah.
Gone. I think one year, it might have been like 1982, all the kids just said, Mom, will you make my costume for me? I can't stand this uncomfortable plastic fire hazard I'm walking around the neighborhood in. And the mom was more than happy to make it. Moms, they want to feel needed, and they want to be frugal and save a few bucks and send the kids out there in their own creations.
Knight Rider. I had a Knight Rider. I had a David Hasselhoff. Where's the David Hasselhoff face?
David Hasselhoff went to high school about 2 blocks from my house.
Well, I wore his
that
Halloween costume. Yeah, I remember seeing the plaque at the high school. And then I was
will you please come back to town wearing the David Hasselhoff costume? We can take a picture in front of his plaque at the Lyons Township High School Wall of Fame, I should say. The Wall of Fame.
And I think I was a Luke Duke at one point. I think it was a John Schneider Luke Duke costume. So Popeye.
Wow. So I never wanted to be a human because you wore the mask.
Mission accomplished.
It was just like a human face. And what mission accomplished? I think that was a dig. That was a dig at me. What was that? What was that? That was unfounded. Unfounded. Here I am wanting to take pictures of you at David Hasselhoff's high school, dressed as David Hasselhoff.
And I just had to get the little. I had to get the little.
You had to do a little dig. Yeah, there you go. That's okay. I love busting balls too, and you know, the only people whose balls I bust are the people who I care about the most. That's why I don't have many friends.
That's why
I don't have many friends.
That's how it should be. We do have a lot of friends. You know where a lot of our friends are? They're on Patreon, and I think we're going to make some more friends because we've got an update here of our Zero the Hutt giveaway.
Yes. This has been the summer of Patreon for Rebel Force Radio. I can't believe how we have grown and how quickly we've grown on Patreon. I think people are discovering it's just a great place to get bonus exclusive podcasts, access to the RFR vaults for shows that are no longer available anywhere else. I even put up a Kyle Newman RFR photo gallery the other day, 15 pictures of
I saw that.
Me and Kyle over the years. We have releases, early bird releases, full show video, and exclusive podcasts like RFR Q&A and the Babu Freaks. Babu Freaks will be reconvening this week, so I'll be looking for the next episode of Babu Freaks to drop. Everyone enjoys that. Me hanging out with my local crew of Chicago Star Wars fans, and just it's basically just a hangout. And but people sure seem to like it, and we talk about everything Star Wars, things that we've done, Star Wars inspired activities we've participated in, and so much more. We're getting close to 1,000 supporters on Patreon. 1,000 patrons. As a matter of fact, we're at 979 as we're recording this show, so we're only 21 away. Do you want to be the 1,000th? I can't even say thousandth. Suffering succotash. But you could be the 1,000th supporter of RFR on Patreon just by signing up. Join. It costs $1 just to get in the door. I mean, it's cheap, and of course you can then build up, and the more you support us, the more content you receive, the more perks you get. And if you throw down enough to become an RFR VIP, you'll be hosting a show with me or even Jason sometimes with the RFR Q&A. So we have a ball, and we're offering this incentive to help us get up to 1,000th supporters. We have this Zero the Hutt. Hello there. Maybe that's why I'm talking this way, because I was warming up for Zero. But Zero the Hutt, this is a hand-sculpted, hand-painted, unique, one-of-a-kind Zero the Hutt. Well, there's 3 of them. I have one, Swank has one, and we're giving one away. This was created by a very artistic Rebel Force Radio listener who wants to remain anonymous. His name is Mr. Zero, and he reached out to me. He handed me and Swank these works of art back at Star Wars Celebration Orlando in 2017, and then he just sent me a new one this week as a sign of appreciation to Rebel Force Radio and our listeners, because we all helped out Mr. Zero through some tough times recently, and he wanted to give back to our amazing RFR Patreon community. So join us on Patreon. We certainly put out a lot of content there. You get podcasts you'll never hear anywhere else, and just by joining Patreon, you'll have the opportunity to win this piece of Zero the Hutt artwork. 3D artwork. It goes right on your desk. It's in perfect scale with the 3 3/4 inch action figures. It's better than anything Hasbro could whip up. It's sturdy. See? Sturdy. I was just knocking Zero on the head. I didn't appreciate that. It's just a wonderful piece. It's one of the most cherished items in my personal collection, because this is handmade, beautiful craftsmanship, wonderfully painted. Look at that detail. It's incredible. And we want to send one to you. All you have to do is be a member of Rebel Force Radio on Patreon, then look for the post that features a picture of this guy, Zero the Hutt, and it says, what does the post say? It says, Zero the Hutt needs a home. So the post, it went up on July 15th. Zero the Hutt needs a home. All you have to do to become eligible to win is answer, post a comment on the thread that says, I want to party with Zero the Hutt. And you have to put it in verbatim. It has to say, I want to party with Zero the Hutt. Can't say anything else. Don't get clever. And don't post 2 comments. Only 1 comment will enter you. If I see other comments, I'll delete them. So we're just trying to keep it fair. We want everyone to have a shot at zero, but we also want you to follow the rules. To become eligible, you must post the comment, I want to party with Zero the Hutt, and you'll be entered to win. We'll pick a winner at random on Rebel Force Radio on the week of August the 1st. So be sure to get all your comments in by August the 1st. We'll close off the comments.
That's like
that
2
time.
weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we're gonna take this all the way to the end of the month, and if you're the 1,000th supporter, if that happens this month, you'll get 5 entries. You'll be the only person who will be entered to win with multiple entries. So that's just a thank you for pushing us over the top to 1,000. But Zero the Hutt, he needs a home. And the only way you can take him home is by joining us, Rebel Force Radio, patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Become an RFR Insider for just $1 or work your way up all the way up to RFR VIP, and you'll be hosting the show with me or Swank, and it'll be awesome, and you'll have a great time. People sure seem to love it. And we sure love the community that has grown around our Patreon page. So get involved. Join the fun. RFR on Patreon. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Zero needs a home.
Shut, Watto.
All right. Something that many of you have been picking up on is chut. It's become sort of the... it's the universal greeting of Rebel Force Radio. I had said that something that always stuck out to me in Attack of the Clones is that line when Anakin just appears after all these years, 10-some years have passed, and he just sort of saddles up in front of Watto, and he's just like, chut, Watto, you heard it.
Shut, Watto.
It's so casual. Like we're supposed to just know what that means. Well, we know what it means. It means, what's up? What's up, Watto? So anyway, that sort of becomes sort of the Rebel Force Radio greeting. And we want to let you know that we are hard at work of creating we got some Chut merch coming, all right? Why wouldn't we? We got Chut shirts and gear coming soon. That's just a little teaser, but they are coming because we've heard a lot of requests for these, and we're just finalizing up some of the artwork, and we will have more news on that very soon. But Jim, is Chut the only time we hear it? Is it really in Attack of the Clones? Is it going to be Blue Milk? Well, are we going to make it the next Blue Milk?
See, for the longest time, I thought Chut was only said at that one part when Anakin greets Watto. Right. Anakin greets Watto. He doesn't drink Watto. I'm very refreshing, huh? No, you're not, Watto. But so I thought that was the only time it was ever said in Star Wars. And so I was like so blown away when you started bringing it up on the show, because it's like one of those sort of things that was largely ignored by us fans. It was like, Anakin says, chut the Watto. What's up with that? That's obviously a Tatooine greeting. Yeah. A Huttese greeting, maybe. Chut. But does it originate with the Hutts? Is it really Huttese? We got a clue from Jeff Holland on Patreon. He's a great supporter, and he is an RFR VIP who has hosted episodes of RFR Q&A with me, at least one. I think we're scheduled to record another one in the next few weeks. But Jeff Holland says, I rewatched the Eminence episode of Clone Wars. Eminence was the one that featured the rise of Darth Maul and the Shadow Collective with Savage Opress and all that stuff from season 5 of the Clone Wars. And we're currently rewatching Clone Wars on Patreon with RFR Clone Wars Declassified, and we are midway through season 5 right now. And so Jeff wanted to get the full experience, so he rewatched the episode so he could listen to the RFR Clone Wars Declassified remastered episode. And he noticed that the character Oruba the Hutt, okay, there's like the Hutt Council, right?
Yeah, it's like the five families.
Exactly. And Darth Maul confronts them, and some of them are actually physically there. Others are on hologram, and they have bounty hunters behind them. And he noticed that Oruba the Hutt, Oruba, says chut chut in the episode Eminence, the episode of the Clone Wars Eminence. So
really?
Anakin isn't the only one to say chut chut. So here we have audio evidence of Oruba the Hutt from Eminence, Clone Wars Season 5.
Chut chut, Bargandi Mulira.
Oh, that's clear as day, right there. Chut chut.
Chut chut.
It is right
So
there.
you know what? He almost sounds. Yeah. Wow. He almost sounds like that. That from the Godfather 3. That one.
Oh.
That one the old Don who had
Don Altabello.
Fist.
Yeah. Played by not Don Amici. What was the name of that grand old actor? Anyway,
was that Eli Wallach?
Eli Wallach.
That
Was the name. Yes, Eli Wallach, Don Altabello.
Yeah.
Why were you so loved and I so feared?
That's a good Pacino there. That's very good. But so that's one piece of evidence about Chut Chut existing beyond episode 2. But we have one that's even older than episode 2.
I got a question though. Was Oruba the Hutt? Was he the one that was modeled after Marlon Brando? Remember when they made one of the character models? And it was really,
Yes.
I appreciated the effort, but man, it was real weird. Those Hutts, if you remember,
the Hutt Council itself was really out there.
It was.
Man.
And we knew.
Really
we knew since 1983 that he was a vile gangster, and that and then in 1999, the Hutts, you can't take it there. The Hutts are gangsters. So you knew that he was sort of the Al Capone of the of Tatooine. We didn't know that there was a whole family of these Hutts, and we got to see them in Clone Wars. And I just remember one of them had a Marlon Brando face. Yeah, give it Marlon Brando. It'll be funny.
Right.
Put a Brando in there. That's totally George.
I believe that Oruba was like the albino Hutt.
God, I got to rewatch this episode. That is wild. There's an albino Hutt.
Yeah, I do recall the Marlon Brando Hutt, but I don't remember which one he was or what his name was. It wasn't like I don't know, Gorga or something. I don't know, but. Yeah, the Marlon Brando Hutt. This is George trolling us again. All right. We do have an example of Chut Chut, though, prior to 2002 and Attack of the Clones.
We do.
If you believe.
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes.
Prior to Anakin Skywalker Attack of the Clones. Chut Chut.
From Battle for Endor, which was recently released on Disney Plus. Lots of people are watching Battle for Endor again, but most people haven't seen it since they were little kids. Like J.R. Eaton. J.R. Eaton reached out to us and said, I watched Battle for Endor today for the first time since I was a little kid, and definitely caught what sounded like a very slow, low-key chut chut from one of the Marauder guards. So I found the sequence. It's these marauders that are antagonizing the Ewoks, and they're sitting there and they're actually having a card game, and one of them drops the chut chut.
Chut chut.
This is chut chut. That's all you get.
That is it.
Chut chut.
Listen to this.
Chut chut.
Chut chut.
Well, my whole universe is rocked right now.
Well, it should be.
I thought it was Huttese. I thought that it had its origins on Tatooine. And here we see or hear it happening on Endor.
Well, maybe the Marauders speak Huttese, so
well, that could
have the best of both worlds. Yeah,
I did find out that the one Hutt from the Clone Wars that was modeled after Marlon Brando is Marlowe. Marlowe the Hutt.
Marlowe, get out.
And it even has the little pencil mustache. Yeah, I got it right here on the screen for those that are. Hey, if you're a Patreon All Access member, you're seeing this right now. Marlowe the Hutt. There it is. See the little pencil mustache. Marlowe. Yeah, no one will get the reference. It's really clever.
Marlowe. George has been in the vineyard again.
I love it. All right, well, that's a perfect segue. Let's head off into the cantina. We got Michael Havens. He's going to tell us all about the Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention coming up next spring in Nashville, Tennessee. And who knows, maybe Rebel Force Radio will be there.
Where are you going, Master? For a drink.
Sorry about the mess. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Well, as I said, we're joined in the cantina by the Grand Poobah of the Imperial Commissary and the founder of the Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention in Nashville, Mr. Michael Havens. Michael, thank you for joining us. I should say also that you're a huge Star Wars fan. Yeah, it's our pleasure. Our pleasure.
I am an actual Star Wars nerd. I am.
And you're proud of it.
Well, you'll fit in around here.
Oh, yeah. Well, too big to hide it.
Hey, well, as we're fond of saying here, say it loud, say it proud. Well, it's really great to talk to you. We have a mutual friend, Kevin Lyle. Although I don't know, not everybody wants to claim him. We'll claim him here. But no,
I'll tell
he's
you
a
what,
great
I'll
friend.
claim him too, man. Kevin Lyle is a really good dude. And you know what? The first time I was doing ICC Con, I was just out there telling people, I was like, hey, listen, I'm this crazy collector from Tennessee, and I'm going to put William Shatner in a barn in Franklin, Tennessee, and don't worry about it. It's going to happen. And everybody thought I was insane. But Kevin reached out and he said, you know what, man, if you need an MC, I'm your guy. And the reason why we had an MC first year is Kevin Lyle, so he will always have a place at ICCC.
You know, that's Kevin in a nutshell. This guy, serial entrepreneur, nothing's impossible with this guy, and we love him. But let's talk about you. And I'm fascinated by what you just said. So you had an idea. Take us back to where you were when you had this idea of bringing William Shatner to Franklin, Tennessee. By the way, I love Franklin, Tennessee. I spent some time in Nashville after college, and it's a great place. But how did you get the Shats there?
It was crazy, man. Actually, what happened is I was at a large corporate convention that we all know of, and I had a $750 badge around my neck, $750 badge around my wife's neck, and we're sitting there in the VIP room, which consisted of folding chairs and a tepid water cooler in the corner that sort of worked. And I got a $35 plate of orange chicken in front of me. She's got a $35 plate of orange chicken in front of her. I got a $9 Coke in my hand, and I slam it down right there on the table, and I say, I could do this better. And I personally... it's not my real job. In real life, I have a trucking company and I own art galleries. That's what I really do. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. I play Star Wars for fun. Yeah, I'm a crazy person. I work all the time, guys. But
trucking and art, I do I love it.
Yes, trucking and art. I try to diversify so that way if one of them takes a hit, it's not going to really affect me that much on the bottom line. Right. But so I decided, why not just do it better? Because the thing is you can really, if you're not trying to squeeze every penny out of the fan, you can really do it better. You don't have to make $40 million. I don't have boards of directors and walnut oak office tables from the rainforest that I have to pay for in private jets. It's not about that. This doesn't pay my bills. So I keep the prices as low as possible. I wanted to make something where it was fair prices, where VIP actually gets stuff like free food, free ice cream, free pie. where VIP actually means something. So that's where this crazy idea came from. It's like many of the other ideas that I am lucky enough to have. When I get really frustrated at something, I kind of take it into my own hands and try to fix it the best I can. Nashville didn't have a convention, so it was a natural progression, something that it really needed. The last
That's crazy when you think about Nashville being one of the epicenters of live entertainment in general, that it doesn't have a big convention.
Yeah, I just got tickets to the CMAs. We got everything down here, man. NFL draft. I'll tell you, the reason why it wouldn't work is because the companies that were coming in, nothing against them, but they were big majors like, and I'll even say it, Wizard World, for example. Nothing against Wizard World, fine convention, but the people of Nashville are very old school. And when outsiders come in and bang them up for money, they don't like it. So they fight back against it and they stop coming, or they, definitely give their peace of mind on Yelp reviews. So it's nice for them to have somebody local that does this for local people, even though it is an international convention where people come from all over the world, and they really respect that. So that's why we get a lot of help from Nashville. A lot of the TV shows and stuff like that, they give us free advertising. They come out very early in the morning, and we tape intros where, like, Big Joe from the NBC morning show fights with lightsabers, stuff like that. And it's because we're just local people trying to be bringing something local nice to Nashville. I mean, a family of 4 can literally come to this thing for $250 and not spend another penny, and have a great time, which I don't think there's any convention in the world that can say that. But that's because they all have private jets and walnut oak rainforest tables to pay for. It's not profitable, but that's not what it's for. Those things are expensive, man. I'm telling you, I'm working off a drafting table I found on Craigslist. So, and that's the difference, So I just make sure to keep all the other thing, we don't charge any extra for autographs, stuff like that. So we really try to keep it down, because I would rather you have the extra $50 in your pocket to go buy another toy from one of my vendors, or to go buy another autograph from somebody else, or you know what I mean? You're still going to spend that money and make the vendors happy and make the guest stars happy and all that stuff. So why force you to be like, well, where's your $35 for orange chicken?
Well, I will tell you, when it comes to conventions, bigger is not always better. And something that we've noticed, and we've commented a bit about it on the show, is that there was a time when these conventions felt more like family affairs, and then they just all of a sudden got, and I hate to use the word, but so corporate, and you get you want to, all you want to do is pay money to get this autograph, and then they just herd you around like cattle. They're rude to you in a lot of cases. And I understand crowd control and all that, and the workers, they get tired and they get stressed, but still, it just is missing something. And back in the day, we sound like old guys. You could just sort of, if the artist, the star wasn't busy, you could have a little conversation with them at their table, and then sometimes that would encourage you to say, yeah, I'll give you, $25 for your autograph.
Yeah. That is exactly what I'm trying to bring back. I'm trying to bring back the connection between the fans and the movie stars. Because these movie stars out there, they love you guys. They love you. I mean, you're the ones who keep their day going. You're the ones who remember them and remember their greatness and make them feel special when they walk into a room. They love that. And the problem is there's so many different levels of corporate middlemen involved, usually, that it ends up bringing conflict. I do remember there was the very first year I went 1-800-AGENT, and I was like, give me this guy and this guy and this guy, and I paid $80 billion and lost it all, but whatever. Oh. And but no, don't worry about it. This is a plan. I haven't made any money yet. I just keep hemorrhaging money every year, but it's less and less every year, so it's working. But no, it's intended to be right before it's profitable. And that's very important to me because it isn't where I make my money. So the first year, I do remember getting some guest stars where it was called the 1-800-AGENT and pay through the nose and blah, 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 blah. And I remember I had a Return of the Jedi panel. And on the Return of the Jedi panel, I had 5 guest stars from Return of the Jedi. Now, there was one other guest star. I won't mention his name. But there was one other guest star that was in Return of the Jedi also and really wanted to go up with all his friends he hasn't seen in 30 years and do a panel and blah, 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 blah. His agent stepped in and said, you can't do a panel. You weren't contracted for a panel. So the agent bummed out the guy. He bummed out my guy. He bummed out the 6 people on stage. I'm sure he bummed out Kevin Lyle. And it was all, and he bummed out the actual guest star. And it was all because it wasn't contractually obligated, which that's not what the ICC Con is about. I mean, I don't even force guest stars to get there first thing in the morning and stuff like that. I don't want anybody to be pressured, because if they're not pressured, they have a much better time. And then you get those experiences. That's why, you know, Daniel Logan's hanging out in the room sales being like, how much is this? Because he started being a collector now. So, so he was doing deals at the room sales, you know, and that kind of stuff happens. I remember Chris Bunn, a couple people took out Chris Bunn 2 years ago, and he's a stormtrooper. He was the first stormtrooper through the Tantive. He's the one they actually molded the stormtrooper armor on. So he's telling the stories of how they had to shave him down, and it was way back in the day, and he didn't know what the heck they were doing it for, but he was like, a job's a job, but they had to shave him down so the plaster didn't stick to him, you know. And but he went out, and he was, I think they were axe throwing in downtown Nashville, you know what I mean, like with just a bunch of fans. So those kind of things still happen here, and the reason why is because we don't put pressure on the fans, we don't put pressure on the guest stars, we just try to keep it nice, family friendly, and to tell you the truth, it just kind of feels like a family reunion every year, and that's what we're going for. We want that. Wow. That's what it is. That's what we love conventions for, is that connection with the other people, the other fans.
Wow, this certainly sounds like you guys have it locked in, and you're bringing back, like, it's like a breath of fresh air, because when me and Swank first started doing this 15 years ago, we were going to conventions that were relatively small, and there was a lot of opportunity to really rub elbows with the stars and actually develop long-term relationships. Even nowadays in the big corporate conventions, they're all at the end of a giant line behind a curtain and a load of security, and you need 3 tickets just to get through the curtain, and it's you don't even see the celebrities unless you're actually going up to get the autograph. So it just doesn't feel like their presence is really felt anymore.
I completely agree. I'll tell you, one of the major things we do at ICC-Con that I don't think any other convention on the planet does is we make sure that a regular mom, dad, kid, whatever, can walk by the area with the guest stars and sneak themselves a little picture with their phone for free. We don't care, man. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? So they get one less autograph from somebody who probably couldn't afford it anyways. Is that bad? Do you know what I mean? So then somebody gets to go home with a picture. But you go to these other things, man, it may as well be Fort Knox. You can't even see them. God forbid. Forget about it. They walk to go get a hamburger, you take a picture, somebody's taking your phone. I mean, I don't know.
Hold on, real quick.
I'm going to catch a
selfie.
Why Jimmy Mack's getting a Michael Havens
with
shot?
Yeah, hold on. Let me do this here, Michael. Because I don't want to pay extra for you selfie with you. So I could just get.
Hey, man, I sign autographs for free, brother.
That looks pretty good. Oh, shit.
I take selfies for free, autographs for free.
I got my thumb in the photo. Good. My thumb in the photo. It looks terrible. But that's the best I can do.
Right, man.
I'll crop it out.
Just say it's an alien cosplayer walking by. You're fine.
So I got to go back to something that you said, though, and you had said to your wife, and it was, I'm going to get William Shatner in a barn in Franklin, Tennessee. And I know, hey, this is a Star Wars podcast, but I just watched the Shats on Shark Week last night. It was fantastic. 90 years old, and the guy's diving with sharks. It was incredible. But wow. But my question is,
I'll give you a Shatner story. He is incredible.
Well, he is known in some circles, depending on who you talk to, for being somewhat prickly or particular. I don't know how you'd want to describe it. You tell us. But why would he be the guy that you'd go, he's going to be my first. I'm getting Captain Kirk.
Because I called up 1-800-AGENT and it was the name I recognized.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it cost me a fortune, and I'm like, but it's William Shatner. He's had a 50-year career. Of course he's going to crush you. Why not?
He's going to draw.
Yeah. But no, he was a consummate professional man, nicest guy ever. I'll tell you what, here's the secret with William Shatner. Everybody that says he's prickly is because they don't do their job right. Shatner has absolutely no time, energy, or willing to give a heck about people that do not prepare, do not do their job. See, the thing is In real life, I have a trucking company and logistics brokerage. All I do is move things. That's it. And people are things. All you got to do with guest stars, the big trick is making sure they get to where they're going to be and everything's all set. Yeah. That's it. And that's pretty much every kind of logistics. So he was super duper happy, man. But he showed up, and in his room there were Cuban cigars and the scotch he likes, and I got him a steak, you know, and it was nice. But I'll tell you a Shatner story, man. You want to talk about something? He was, 86, 85 years old, something like that. Mm-hmm. So he gets off, red-eye flight, Las Vegas, right? Gets off the plane. Now, all my eggs are in one basket because I was a crazy person, and my wife doesn't. She's so supportive and so nice that she doesn't stop me, which could be bad, but it seems to keep working out, so whatever.
Good for you guys. That's
but,
great.
Yeah, right? Yeah, man, I can't complain. And
if you want to hang yourself, she'll give you enough rope. That's a good way.
For sure, man. Yeah, yep. I could get away with murder, you know, for sure. But so Shatner, he gets off this red-eye flight from Vegas. Now, me, man, I'm 40 years old now, and I can't get off a red-eye flight from Vegas and do anything you want. I can lay on a couch and complain, but that's about it. So he gets off this red-eye, man, and he looks rough, you know, because it's red-eye flight. He's 84 years old or whatever. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I am totally, forget about it. Forget about it. All my eggs are in this one basket. I got this 4:30 thing on Fox News where Fox is here with a live camera feed, and it's supposed to be me, the guy who's never been a convention promoter in his life before, talking to Fox News with William Shatner, who literally looks like he got off a red eye from Vegas and is 85 years old in the back room. So I'm like, oh, no, what does he need? What does he need? And he goes, oh, just get me a cup of English breakfast tea. I'll be fine. I'm like, all right. Well, I asked the agent. That's the thing. I mean, agents, I understand they have a purpose, but the problem is that it's like playing a game of operator. You know, you go, hey, what is Mr. Shatner like? What does he need? Oh, he doesn't need anything. He likes everything. Don't worry about it. Blah 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 blah. To find the scotch and the cigars, I mean, I searched like websites and interviews with him and stuff like that. So fine. The problem is, I didn't have any English breakfast tea because nobody said it to me, and I drink coffee, so it didn't cross my mind. So I got people running around the building, all my staff, right? You got any English breakfast tea? I sent them out to go chase down all the English people. Because, see, with the IC, I get lots of people from all over the world, right? Yeah. And I'll never forget it. Gary Bleach's wife had English breakfast tea in her purse. So they got the English breakfast in her purse.
That's
from
an Englishman. That's an English lady right
dude,
there.
It was great, man.
In her purse.
I'm telling you, we had nowhere to get it, you know, because the thing is where that was in Franklin, it was 20, 30 minutes away from where a decent grocery store is where you could get that. Mm-hmm. So she had one. They put it in the thing. I go out to do the interview, and I'm like, oh, my God, it's over. Forget about it. I just totally blew it. I told everybody he's here, but forget about it, you know? So I get out there and I'm like, hey, you know, come on down, ICC Con. It's going on this weekend. And we only did a beta test. Friday was VIP only, and then Saturday was general admission. You know, come on down, get your autograph. William Shatner, Cass Anvar is going to be there. We got Marina Sirtis, Renee Aberjonas, blah, 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 all these other different people, whole bunch of Star Wars stars. And they came, and so we're doing this interview, and then Shatner walks out, right? Shatner walks out, sits on the high top chair, crushes the interview, looks perfectly perfect, and then goes eats a steak at 11:30 at night with me.
Perfect. He's a pro. That's a pro. That's why he's the captain.
I couldn't do it at 30 years old. Forget about 40. Forget about 83 or 85 or whatever. Forget about it.
Wow.
Amazing man. I have nothing bad to say about William Shatner. Yeah. And to tell you the truth, man, I think somebody in his position has the right to be frustrated if people totally botch, you know, his flights or his hotel or his car. I mean, it's William Shatner, dude. Besides being
I think
you know, TJ Hooker and the dude from Boston Legal, Denny Crane. I mean, he's the guy.
Rescue 911. Hey, you know what's funny is that I think a lot of our listeners right now are going to be ordering breakfast tea tomorrow morning.
I know.
The breakfast blend tea, because who knew it
English
had those
breakfast.
kind of powers. English breakfast. That's it. That's it. Too bad you don't have that hole in the wall. You could walk up to it and say, tea, Earl Grey, hot. You know? That's maybe what Shatner's used to, you know. Tea, breakfast tea. What is English breakfast? Hot. Yeah, but
it was funny.
That's good to know.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I just
think it's good to know.
Funny.
You know how to grease the skids with the shat.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people could learn a good lesson from you because you didn't just rely on what they were telling you. You actually went out, you did the legwork, you did the research, and you got to know what makes the guy tick. And I think that's hugely important for you and your business.
Well, they tend to really like you because usually they don't get that kind of experience. Usually it's somebody ordering something off a McDonald's menu, and they're like, I'll take a Shatner and a Curtis, and then they don't know anything, you know? But it's different with me. I come from my background with logistics and everything. For example, one time there was a container out in California, and the guy wouldn't let the container out because it had the right paperwork, but the paperwork wasn't clear. Something like that. Basic problem where it's the guy at the desk is either going to be nice or mean, you know? And I'm either going to get the container or not going to get it. So what happened is my wife was at a Nicholas Sparks. I don't know, you know Nicholas Sparks?
Yes.
He does all the like kissy books.
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
Horse Whisperer.
He was at stuff like that. So Andrea was at a Nicholas Sparks signing, and I'm sitting there on a bench outside trying to get this container out of California, you know? And I'm like, listen, man, is like you a Nicholas Sparks fan? He goes, well, my wife is. I'm like, I'll get you a Nicholas Sparks book, man, if you just let that out and put it through the paperwork in the morning. And it totally worked, man, and I got that thing out. But there's always a way to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And somebody like
That's amazing.
Shatner
You know what the
appreciates
ironic
that.
thing is about your story is that shipment was actually a case of English breakfast tea going to William Shatner. I mean, it's just incredible what a small world it is.
All right, so
the Force works in mysterious ways.
I gotta know, Michael. I mean, obviously, as you said, you're a Star Wars fan. You're a Star Wars geek.
Yeah.
How much of your desire to do one of these conventions was, you know, an expression of your own fandom and sort of creating the convention that you would want to go to?
Oh, tons. Oh, I'm super duper selfish. I know everybody thinks I'm super duper nice and making a convention for the community, and I am, but it's like right out of my playbook. I like vintage toys. I love them. I love vintage Star Wars. It's what I collect. I've got tons of it. I mean, we're on video. I got bags and bags and bags, and it's all over the place. And this isn't even my collection room.
He has a
This is just where I
poster
have
for those
overstock.
listening to audio podcasts. He's got a poster of the vintage Boba Fett action figure, Kenner vintage action figure hanging up, and then
carded figures.
Look at that!
It's
look
all
at
over
that.
the place.
Oh, he's got carded
that's
figures.
a vintage Lando.
Vintage Lando, vintage Wicket.
And we're not talking the new vintage. This is the vintage.
Oh, no. 77 through 85.
Yeah.
That's what the problem
I've been
was,
collecting so long, I've been getting vintage since it was new.
Yeah.
We didn't call
you
it
got a good deal on some of it, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, 1978, we're running around going, did you get that vintage Jawa?
Right?
No, that didn't.
Did you get that brand new Jawa?
We didn't call it vintage.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No.
It'll be vintage someday.
I love it, man. I love vintage toys. The problem is with vintage toys, here's the hook. Vintage toys only sell to collectors. If collectors are not there, and I love cosplayers. We have cosplayers, we have droid builders, we have all different people that don't collect that come to ICC Con. It still has things for that. So don't get me wrong. But most conventions do not cater to collectors. What they do, see, vintage sellers, their margins, if they don't have the right people coming through the door, are very, very low. So when they have the right people going through the door, they can afford more. The thing is I keep my booth prices really, really low because what I do is people apply for a booth, and this is the selfish part. And if I don't like what they're selling, they don't get a booth. I don't care if they have money. It doesn't matter.
What do they give you? They give you photos? They give you an inventory list? What do they?
They give me like a URL or something, and I mean, if it's like those foxtails that go in wherever, I don't know, because it's not, like they can't come. If it's like pervy artwork, they can't come.
Oh, right.
So I keep my tables really low, so I have the ability to choose perfect vendors, and that's how, shoot, man, we had 5 rocket firing Boba Fetts in the building in 2018.
Wow.
Like 5.
Wow.
That's more than any other convention in the history of ever. But the reason why is because we have the actual big-time collectors that travel in from all over the world. That year, there was a guy from Australia that bought a $350,000 rocket-firing Boba Fett from the Franklin Marriott.
So you attract the collecting equivalent of the high rollers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I run 28 now Facebook groups about Star Wars collecting. I run the largest vintage Star Wars group in the world. It's the Imperial Commissary. You can check it out, facebook.com/groups/the Imperial Commissary. But
we're looking at you right now
groups,
with a blue snaggletooth.
Yes, that's because my guy that helps me, he helps me ship, and he's younger. He's 22 years old. Jonathan Pushkar, great music artist. But he's like, Mike, you got to do TikToks because TikTok's where... And I'm like, man, I don't want to do TikTok. I don't know what a TikTok is, and I don't know. So I'm spitting out TikTok. He's just like, dude, just talk about stuff you know. So that one you were just scrolling by was me today, spitting out my daily dose of TikTok episode where it's like, this is a blue snag, and this one has a toe dent, and that's different variant because, you know what I mean? It's like,
love it.
I don't know.
Yes.
So I just try to spread around the news, man, because I think once people hear what this is and figure out what this is, they'll want to be part of it because it's a community. It's not like other things. Like you were saying, the other conventions, they have become corporate. But the reason why is because that's where all the money is. If you don't think that these conventions are specifically dedicated just to pitch the new products and the new media for these companies, it's wild. I mean, I went to a convention once that happened to be a corporate convention, and I'm going to leave it a little bit vague, but everybody will know what I'm talking about. And I was like, I really do not like this one specific movie at all because I was born in 1980 and it just doesn't fit and I don't like it. And I filled out all the forms to explain I didn't like it. And then I got eight passes to the only thing I did not want to see at this corporate convention. And I made it clear, you know?
Yeah.
And I had 8 tickets because I had vendor tickets, I had VIP tickets, and I had general admission because I'm one of those crazy people. I tried to hedge my bets, and it was like, terrible. I mean, I've done better on the Kentucky Derby, and I never won that.
Well, let's talk about you as a fan. You said you were born in 1980, so that does put you... Now, let's ask. Did you see Return of the Jedi in the theater, or did your parents tell you that you saw Return of the Jedi in the theater? Just curious.
I definitely did not see Return of the Jedi in the
So
theater.
you were part of that video and TV generation that was seeing them on TV and then on home video?
I'm going to tell you how bad it was. You ready? The way I saw it,
Viewmaster.
The first way, I saw it on a VHS. But no, I saw New Hope on a VHS, and I watched it and loved it, and it spoke to me. You know, I was a kid from a small town that didn't have a whole bunch of friends at the time, and it was about a kid from a small town that didn't have a whole bunch of friends at the time that saved the galaxy. So it kind of like was right up my alley. So anyway, what happened is the first way I ever saw it on a VHS tape. It was my brother's. My brother had a couple of the toys, which I still have, that became my original collection. I watched it on this VHS time probably 50, 60 times easily. So anyway, what it was is it would go, all right, kid, let's blow this thing and go home. And then it would go, and it would go, and Cabbage Patch Kids, or blah, 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 blah. And it went into my sister's Cabbage Patch Kid that got taped over.
No.
So I never saw the Death Star blow up till I was about 13 years old.
Talk about the machete order. Man, oh man.
Right into Cabbage Patch Kids too, man. It wasn't even an easy transition or anything.
So this was obviously something that was it taped off of TV that you had, or was it?
Yep. Taped off of TV.
Because you could take those VHSs and put a little Scotch tape over that little hole, and you could tape over anything if you're even the.
You could do it with the regular tapes too,
right?
Audio tapes.
That's right. That's right. So you fell in love with the story. You connected with the Luke Skywalker character, and so, but you know, your peak fandom would have probably been. You're a baseball guy?
Baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, it was baseball.
But
I was playing AAA baseball, Little League. I was on the Mets. We totally crushed it. I still have a trophy somewhere in this house. But I played first base. It was
got
awesome.
a few of my Little League trophies, too.
But on second base was my buddy Mark Bonneguide. And if you're first base and second base, you talk all the time. And Mark Bonneguide was a huge Star Wars fan. And he got me into the collecting aspect of Star Wars. And we would make videos, and we would play G.I. Joes and Star Wars guys together, and we hung out all the time. Then we would do the trivia before Google still existed, and that's how I really, really, really got into Star Wars. It was him, and then a guy named John Ambrose, Eric Bosley, and these guys we used to travel around before anybody hunted for Star Wars in the wild, and we would find it at little tiny toy shops. My mother threw mine away in Torrington and Winchester Antiques, and we would find it and hunt our little pieces and try to build our collections. And we were collectors before, shoot, man, I was 10, 11 years old, literally collecting. So that's where I got it from. By the time I hit 35 years old, I actually started making money with real jobs, and then I could actually buy cool stuff. But I mean, dude, I had a B-Wing Pilot Mint-On card that I thought I was going to retire on, man, that I bought forever ago, and I saved it super nice. And like it was the first thing I sent off to AFA when I started collecting again. It came back AFA graded 50. If you don't know what AFA is grading company, and a 50 is an awful grade.
That's pretty weak sauce. That's a bowl of weak sauce right there.
But I'll tell you, it is still dead center in my collection room, man, because I kept that from being a little kid.
Well, see, it means something to you.
That's right.
And sometimes that's the most valuable stuff in your collection are the ones that you actually have some sort of purpose with, some sort of meaning.
They always ask you the what if your house burns down? What do you grab? And that's it.
Yes.
And it's worth like $70. You know?
What's your what's the Grail item that you do have in your collection? The item that you're most the one that you looked for the most, or were most excited about getting. You talk about finally making real money as an adult, and you get that, you know, you finally have some extra cash to spend. What was it?
Well, I got the all mint-on cards with coins. When I started recollecting, I was like, well, I'll just finish off my complete set, my loose complete set, and then I'll be done, because I don't really like carded figures. So I finished off the loose complete set, and then obviously you go into variants, and then you go into what am I going to buy next? Well, I'll get just the droids and Ewoks, because there's a droids and Ewoks line at the end. I'll get those on card, because I don't really like the figures, and the cards look pretty. So as soon as you open that floodgate, I bought every single mint-on card that came with coins. So I had that entire set, and then I went into Boba Fett's. But I'll tell you that the hardest ones, there's two, and they're both from Argentina that are the hardest. My Top Toys set, which is all the Top Toys, they were manufactured in Argentina. They had the contract, but if you look at them, it's almost as if somebody described over the phone what a Kenner figure should look like, and then they kind of did their best.
I love stuff like that.
That's a great description. Yes.
Yeah. It's actually a production thing, and it was contracted, you know, by Kenner and everything. It was legal, like it's a legitimate figure only for Argentina, and they're really, really hard to find. Those carded figures, that carded set, it's only, I think, 6 or 7 figures, and I'll name them. It's Darth Vader, Stormtrooper, you got a Chief Chirpa, you got a Logray, you got a, who else? Chewbacca, and a Yoda, and a Luke Jedi. So however many that was, I don't know. But that's how many there are. And they're just so hard to find. So that took me about 5 years to get that. And what I've been doing now is I've been collecting. I don't know if they're in here. They might be in the other room. Yeah, I think they're in the other room. But I've been collecting this is how far. When you get too far and you have all the regular stuff, what you do is you collect weird garbage. So I actually am really hunting. I found this poster, and there was a promotion for Doriana margarine in Argentina. And on this promotion, on the top of the plastic lids, they had a Star Wars action figure you could cut out and then fold, and it would stand up. So I have 2 of them.
Like a paper doll kind of thing?
Plastic, like a plastic lid of a sour cream container.
Oh, okay. So it was plastic. Oh, gotcha.
And you would cut it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I found this poster, and it says there's 14 of them. So I've been hunting, and I have 2 so far. So that's not even done. There's certain things you can't just buy.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is what's the thing out there that's still out there that you're like
Doriana margarine tops?
I've never heard of these. Jim, have you heard of these?
No. You know, food collectibles, that's a madness in its own self, you know.
Yeah.
I've heard horror stories from Steve Sansweet, from Duncan Jenkins. These guys go absolutely insane collecting this stuff. Hey, speaking of insanity,
those guys do a lot of food.
Have you ever actually had to travel to Argentina to get any of those Top Toys action figures? Because that's what Duncan would do.
Yeah, I travel absolutely anywhere. I have a bunch of friends from Argentina. Actually, the way I've done best with the Argentinian ones are Mexico. my collecting, since I started late. I started in the 80s, so I'm behind everybody. So all these items, if they were there, they have migrated north. You know what I mean? Everything that happens with everything. Bassa from down there, it moves north. Gaslit moves north. So all these things are starting to get in either Mexico at the lowest or America at the highest. You know what I mean? Because it's just moving up from South America. And it's like with anything that's collectible from down there. I mean, it's just the way the economy is. There's more money up here, so eventually it travels. So eventually I will get
Here's a Yoda, by the way. It's on eBay right now going for $450. A Top Toys, original 1984 Argentina action figure with cape. This Yoda. He looks very surprised in this photo to be going
that's
for $400.
Because he's wearing his terry cloth robe. He must have just come out of the shower. No wonder he looks so surprised.
That's actually a pretty good deal. Who's ever selling that out there?
Well, it's available.
I know
right
it looks
now.
all beat up. It's missing its cane. It's missing its belt. I know it looks rough, but I mean, these things are really, really hard to find. The cool thing is if you click through those pictures, you'll probably see his feet, and he doesn't have any peg holes. Like you can see, he just looks a little bit different
Let's
than
see if we can
regular.
Yeah, look
there
at
you go.
that. You're right. Look at that. No peg holes on the feet.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how
kind of
hardcore
like somebody
Michael
described
is.
what it was supposed to look like, you know?
Michael's familiar with the eBay posts, even, you know.
Amazing.
He knows
I actually
exactly
didn't
which
see
post
that
we're
one. To
looking
tell you
at,
the truth, I'm thinking about buying it. Because it seems pretty cheap, man. I don't need it, but they're hard to find.
$450.
Well, let's talk about
out
this.
a couple extra times.
This was a pretty big deal. We've already got some of the guest lists starting to come together for the Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention, ICCon 2022 in Nashville. Very exciting, and you kind of got, I don't know, is this the William Shatner of Star Wars? In some ways, it might be. You've got Ian McDiarmid, the Emperor, coming, and that's quite a get because
thank you very much.
He does not do a lot of shows, and you're also dealing with somebody
14 total.
No kidding.
14 in his entire career. He's done 14 conventions.
Wow. And I'm also assuming, I think he still lives over in the UK, so you're having to deal with all of that, importing him
But
and
that's
all.
easy.
But you know how to do that. You ship things all the time.
Yeah. But no, I had 28 guest stars from the UK in 2018.
Wow.
So one is cakewalk.
Yeah.
This convention you're going to be throwing next year, it sounds amazing. It's going to be happening April 29th through May 1st, so it's throughout the weekend. And it's at the Sheridan Music City Resort in Nashville, Tennessee. Music City, we love Nashville. It's the ICCC. And do you think it would be okay if me and Swank stopped by and did maybe one or two live Rebel Force radios from the convention?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a wonderful podcast room with a stage and everything, and it's beautiful, and we live stream it everywhere, and you guys can absolutely hop on there. I actually have a really awesome graphic. I'll send it to you or something. It looks so cool. I mean, I have way better graphics guys than I know what to do with. But
great.
Yeah, man, we are all about the podcasting. That's the thing. I give away, I think it's 37 tables to anybody that grows the community, podcasters, clubs, people for free. And the reason why I do that is because those are the people that make the swag and make the magic. You guys are the ones that make the magic. I mean, yeah, dude.
It'll be a month before the big corporate convention out in Anaheim, and we know everyone can't get to it. Nashville is such a beautifully centrally located spot that a lot of people in the Midwest and from the coast can easily get to. So we'll be there, Jason and I. That's the weekend
I'm super excited.
of April
29th through May 1st. Yeah, man, I'm super excited to actually meet you guys in person. I've listened to you for years, and you guys are definitely
thank you, brother.
the premier podcast in the Star Wars world, so you should be at the premiere convention in the Star Wars world as well. So I'm excited to see you guys. But it's a whole different kind of thing. And the wonderful part about this convention, besides instead of it being the corporate convention that we're talking about, is once the convention is over for the evening, if you don't want to do room sales or watch Rogue One in a field on a giant screen, because that was free too, you can go. You know what's cool? Swank. There you go. Do you know there's a company called Swank that owns all the Disney Star Wars movies and rent them to you for $50 that you can watch?
I did not know that. I'm just familiar with the magazine empire that is done.
I was too, man. I was too, and I'm trying to make a deal with them, and I can't believe I'm like, dude, how is this the company that I'm trying to buy Rogue One from? And it's called Swank. But look it up. It's Swank Productions, man.
I will look it up.
Thing. Yeah, but if you don't want to do all those things, then the wonderful thing about ICC Con is when you leave the venue, which is a beautiful 4-star hotel, you're in Nashville, Tennessee, which is literally like the best place to party on the planet. And you'll have plenty of money to go out and enjoy the city too, because it won't be nearly the hurt on your pocketbook.
I can't wait to go honky-tonkin' with Jimmy Mack. I can just imagine what that's going to be like. Hey, before we let you go, Michael, we do have a bit of a tradition here, especially with the first time guests come on the show. And, well, we don't just do this for any guest. We do this for those with a certain pedigree, and we know that you're quite a fan. So what we're going to do is we're going to dust off the sacred Yoda questionnaire. These are questions that are posed to Star Wars fans, composed by the Jedi Master Yoda himself. Now, I don't know if it's the Argentinian Yoda that we were just looking at, or if it's the regular Yoda. But at any rate, these are questions that have been posed by the Jedi Master, and we're going to give them to you.
What language is it written in? You could tell that way.
It's in basic.
Is it in Spanish?
Yo quiero Star Wars.
Then it is Argentinian.
But there are no right or wrong answers. This is all completely subjective.
That's my kind of test. Shoot.
That's right. The way a test should be. So here it is. These are, again, the great Yoda questionnaire from the Jedi Master Yoda himself. So, Michael, who or what, because we want to be inclusive here, is your favorite Star Wars character?
Boba Fett. By far.
Boba Fett. No hesitation. Perfect. He just goes on with the Fett man. Yeah, so, assuming that you're pretty psyched about all the new track being laid on the Boba Fett.
Desk. He's got a bunch of Boba Fett figures.
Yeah,
handful of them. right there. A whole handful, not just here. One. There was a whole handful of them.
Yeah, I got a whole tower in the other room, man.
Some people have like a stack of paper clips on their desk. He's got a stack of Boba Fett, vintage Boba Fetts. So I would imagine then you're pretty excited about all the new track that's being laid for the Boba Fett character and the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
I like. I'll tell you what, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm super excited about it. I love every single thing that they have done, but I go into every single episode involving Boba Fett with my heart in my, like, ready to fall through the floor. And the reason why is I'm always afraid they're going to be like, do something that, you know how the people are like, oh, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
And I'm just afraid they're going to do something that, like, I don't know, you know? Like, I don't know, where he does something that I'm like, well, I'm uncomfortable with that. Yeah, I'm just scared because I love Boba. I love Boba because back in the day, man, there was this book. It was Shadows, or no, it was, that was a great book, but it was Tales from Jabba's Palace or Tales from the Bounty Hunter.
Yes.
Kevin B. Anderson or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Boba Fett's story in there. Kevin, yeah, sure enough. And there's Boba Fett's story in there. And during that story, it explains Boba Fett is essentially like a medieval knight with massive amounts of honor, or like a samurai. That's what he is. That's his code. And that was so cool to me. Like in that book, like Jabba gives Leia to Boba Fett as a present. Because he did a good job and got Han Solo and so on and so forth. And he just has her stay on the other side of the room while he meditates the night. And, you know, like that's... He's just focused about the job at hand, and I love that. That's a personality trait I really connect with. If you had asked me what's my second favorite character, I'd say Grand Admiral Thrawn. I know he's modern, but as far as personality, If I could be half as intelligent as Grand Admiral Thrawn, man, I'd be happier than a pigeon. You know.
Well, you are close. The next question isn't your second favorite character. It's actually, you know, we're going to verge on the dark side a little bit because we want to ask you the next question, which is, who or what is your least favorite Star Wars character?
Two fighters against a Star Destroyer guy. When they're leaving Hoth and Leia's like, all right, you know, the shield generator can shoot 2 blasts and blah, blah. And he's like, 2 fighters against a Star Destroyer? And I'm like, that's terrible. So he does drive me nuts.
Yeah, he's not even wearing a pilot helmet. He's wearing that soft, old school
just the little cap
thing.
Yeah. Just a little
Exactly. It's like, dude, what are you complaining about? You're like Red 48, man. Shut up. You know, fly the plane.
He's whining at Princess Leia and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm with you on who is that guy?
I don't know, man. But yeah, he does irk me.
Star Destroyer.
That's him.
2 fighters against a Star Destroyer. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
who is that guy?
I don't know. So
we'll find out.
You got so many listeners, man. I'm sure somebody will be like, yeah, he should be out of there, man.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. What scene, and this could be, you know, this spans the whole Star Wars galaxy, but what scene or moment in Star Wars always makes you smile or laugh?
Always makes me smile. If I could tell you a handful that always make me cry.
Oh,
I don't know why, man.
No spoilers.
We could go into that. No spoilers, but I mean, like always make me cry, dude. When Yoda pulls that X-wing out of the Dagobah swamp, I always cry. Like it just rips my soul out. I don't know if it's the song. I don't know if it's John Williams. I don't know what it is, but it's like, you know, do or do not. There is no try. This is why you fail. I just don't believe it. This is why you fail. I mean, ooh, so look, the hair's standing up on my arms right now. But it gets me like that. As far as what always makes me laugh, you know what I really liked? I really liked the end of the most recent movie, Rise of Skywalker. No spoilers or anything. But the way...
Oh, no, I didn't mean it that way.
Exactly.
Plenty of spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, come on.
No, with spoilers then, when Adam Driver at the end takes on the personality traits of Han Solo, it really... Like, I'm like, oh, you know, like when he's like, when he hits the chain or when he shoots behind him, and it really, like, it fires me up and gets me really, really excited.
It's like Jedi Han.
As far as, yeah, totally. Yeah. It's a Jedi Han. How cool is that?
It is, right.
And then,
I believe at that one part when he puts the saber behind his back while the Knights of Ren are attacking him, he does that lopsided grin. That
exactly.
Harrison Ford Han would
the
always
half
do.
smile.
And, yeah.
Incredible acting.
I don't think we've really even talked about it that much on the show in any of our analysis of episode 9. I don't think we really got into the fact that Adam Driver, he does start mimicking Han Solo after he has that encounter with, he has that force vision of Han. And everyone just is wrapped up in the fact that Adam has no dialogue after that moment. But he's actually communicating through his mannerisms and his actions and definitely channeling the spirit of his father. So I'm really glad you pointed that out.
I think it really gave him the good side too, and I think that's one of the major reasons why he didn't have any lines, is because you already saw him as Kylo Ren. That's what you already associated the voice with and everything. All you saw was these mimics he did of Han Solo, which made you trust him. It made you like him. It made you want him to win. I think it was a much more well thought out movie than people thought. And I think it's because whenever anybody goes into this, like I said, it's always meeting your heroes. Sometimes you're let down because they didn't write the exact same story that you wanted. But if you give it a chance, it's beautiful, man.
Well, the third film, they had to work really hard. They had to work really hard. So
there were some holes.
I will never say that Rise of Skywalker wasn't, like you say, thought out in isolation. I will say that I don't think the sequel trilogy in totality was thought out, but that third film, they were like, oh God, we better figure this one out. Do have another,
and I'll tell you. Oh
yeah, no, please.
Chewie blows up in the Rise of Skywalker, And even though he doesn't blow up, and we all know he doesn't blow up, it still messes me up every time that ship explodes.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
It does make you. It makes you kind of stop for a second and say, "Well, wait a second."
I couldn't when the first time I saw it. I was convinced. I was like, "Oh my!"
Oh, it got me bad.
Oh, what just
They
happened?
only left you hanging for about 90 seconds, though.
No, they did
They
not.
see him
It's
on
more.
board.
No, it's
10 minutes. No,
like 90
before you saw
seconds.
Hux. Was it really? That was a long 90
It was
seconds.
like
man.
Boy,
90 seconds.
that's right. It was a lifetime. All right, we got one final question for you. If there was to be, and we know this is actually going to happen, this first part, if there was a new Star Wars movie to be made, and you were cast in it, you, Michael, were cast in it, and George Lucas was the director, what would you like to hear George say to you after he yells "cut" on your final scene?
Feel free to grab anything you like as much as you can carry. It's like supermarket sweep.
That's a first. That's a first. So you just run through the set, just grabbing anything that you can carry. Wow. Does it
Think
break
how
your-
much fun you could have next time you hear the beep. Think of all the fun you could have on supermarket.
Do you guys ever think about those stories about those dumpster divers finding full suits of Vader armor after the filming of Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that? Like, can you?
Yeah, for sure. I know where a
even
lot of that
imagine?
stuff is, actually.
It's just incredible to think that was the. And then there are stories. I think there's legend of. I don't know if this is true, but isn't there a legend of Star Wars action figures, the Kenner figures out buried somewhere in? Is it in Cincinnati or in a landfill somewhere?
That's a ton of Jar Jar Binks action figures that didn't sell, and so they actually take up a large portion of a landfill somewhere. And they just couldn't move it. It cost more money to store them than to even sell them at discount prices. So they just bury them.
Those are the modern ones, man. That happened with vintage as well.
Yeah.
The Power of the Force collection, there's supposedly yak faces by the pallet loads on Power of the Force cards. That's a $10,000 piece if it's perfect condition. And there's supposedly pallets and pallets of them in Colville, England, where the Palatoy factory was when it shut down because they tried shipping them over to Canada and it didn't work out. They weren't selling, so they just dumped them by the piles. Yeah.
Someday.
Also, all the molds, man. If you got scuba gear, hop into Hong Kong Bay, man. What they used to do is they used to just throw all the molds into the bay. So they're still down there. They're metal molds.
I've heard
It's not
some
like
of them
they're
are
gonna fall
actually
apart.
used as anchors, boat anchors.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Incredible. Man,
Another
you're one of
man's
those
trash,
record,
you know?
I have some statistics here for you guys. I just looked it up on Disney Plus. Chewbacca's ship explodes at 41 minutes into the film, and by 43 minutes into the film, we're seeing him on board the Star Destroyer, getting
longest
insulted
2 minutes
by
of my
Hux.
life.
It's 120 seconds.
If you're standing on the Grand Canyon and you fall in and it only takes you 20 seconds to hit the ground, I guarantee you that's a long 20 seconds. It feels like 5 minutes.
Dude, we could talk to you all night, man. This is so much
thanks,
fun.
brother.
We're thrilled to be on the list of those attending the big convention in April. So it's April 29th through May 1st, 2022, Sheraton Music City Resort, Nashville, Tennessee. You've already announced Ian McDiarmid being part of the show. Are there any other guests that you can reveal at this time, or are we just going with Ian for now?
Well, here's the hook. I've had a lot of learning curve over the years doing this convention, and you announce a big guest star in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you wait, because that's enough for people to realize that you're a real thing, because I said Ian McDermott's going to be there, and he's not like, hey, this dude's crazy, I'm not going to be there. So
right.
everybody knows he'll be there. And then you wait till you get close. About 2 months out, man, the internet has very, very short memory. And if I start announcing now, even though I do have some other guest stars contracted right now, if I start announcing now, then it just forces me to re-announce later. And then what you do is you start alienating people because they feel like you're just trying to shove it down their throat. And then you get other people that see it at separate times or don't remember. And it's just best to try to shove it all at the end, so that way people don't feel like you're, I don't know, you know how it is, man. How many times you've seen a commercial for, like, I don't know,
Oh yeah, I believe me. I know what you mean about the short attention span. Because there's so much messaging and marketing and advertising going out in front of people all the time. Yeah. Everything's advertising now, but you certainly are kicking things off in a big way. Ian McDiarmid. I understand that there will also be other franchises represented in addition to Star Wars, things like Harry Potter, Power Rangers.
I just picked up a Ninja Turtle guy today.
Ooh.
Actually, but I can't tell you who. But
okay,
he does a lot of drawings and stuff.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to be there. Rebel Force Radio.
Yeah, we're bringing RFR listeners with us too. That's for
awesome.
Fact.
Do it, man. Yeah,
we're gonna.
Well, I'll have to get you an exclusive coupon code. What's your exclusive coupon code?
Okay,
I'll make it up.
We'll
right
talk
now.
about that. Perfect.
Yes,
that'd be
we'll
great.
Figure it out.
Yeah. All right, man.
Brother.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it, man.
No, the pleasure's all ours. We would love to have you back again and talk some more Star Wars and especially, you're such a Boba Fett fan. Maybe when Book of Boba Fett comes out, you can join us for one of our Boba Fett Book of Boba Fett after shows. That would be fun.
Yeah, brother. I would love to do anything involving Boba Fett, and I always love talking Star Wars. It's what I do. So.
Yeah. For the record, my favorite character also is Boba Fett, but only the Logan version, the Daniel Logan version. That's
really? The Daniel Logan version of Boba Fett. Hey, man.
It's my all-time favorite.
We're never going to compete at a toy show, so that's good.
No, hey,
I love real Daniel Logan. Does that help? Real Daniel Logan I love, but the toys, the modern, my wife does the modern, man. I'm too old. I'm too much of a curmudgeon.
Daniel, he kind of influences my decision, but I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
You showed us your arm earlier to see the goosebumps. Wait till you get a load of this.
Dad, Don Wee's here.
See? Goosebumps.
There you go.
Goosebumps.
Yeah? See?
Goosebumps.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, I see it. Oh, he's got it. What is that? Boba Fett tattoo?
Yeah, there's Boba Fett on there.
I'm having trouble seeing it.
Oh, okay. Now I see it.
Oh,
Wow.
It's Sarlacc.
In the Sarlacc, you got a big tentacle of the Sarlacc pit coming out.
Yeah.
For Boba Fett.
Right before Boba goes in. I noticed a skull
there, too.
That
my
was
Boba.
Little artistic license being taken there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love it.
Maybe that's the same skull Luke threw at the Rancor at the door when... probably.
Well, you guys could have me on. We could have a Luke Skywalker conversation.
Would love it.
Because I'm on the other side with Luke Skywalker, man.
Oh, the other side?
Yeah, I don't think he's the hero.
Oh,
I think that R2 was the hero. I think Luke is kind of a whiny bad guy, to be honest.
Oh, you stop that.
Wow.
Stop that right now. This conversation went so well, and then you have to pull something
I'm going to sell you on why later, brother. I'm going to sell you on why next time, I promise you.
The website is iccollectorsconvention.com. iccollectorsconvention.com. And don't forget about their the Facebook page of the ICCC Nashville. Look them up and follow. Give them a follow. And Michael, as I said, it was so much fun. It's so great we've heard so many great things about you from Kevin. Really great to actually talk to you, and love the story about what you're trying to do for fandom and the whole convention scene and kind of bringing it back to the basics. Love it. Can't wait to experience it for myself.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it, guys. And it's guys like you that do this stuff. You guys have done this radio show. You've done it through hard times, good times, bad times, pandemic times. And it's people like you that reach the people when they can't reach each other. And that's so important what you do. So I couldn't be more humbled or appreciative to be invited on. So thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to it next time for sure.
Thanks, buddy.
Can't wait.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
Guys. Talk to you later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Later. Oh, what a nice guy.
Chewie, get us out of here! Rebel Force Radio.
Chut, chut.